Powered by the Montana Television Network. This is the 10 o'clock news on Q2, Montana's news leader.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Janelle Slade.
And I'm Jay Cohn. A Laurel school resource officer now suspended from his job as city officials investigate allegations of a sexual relationship with a 16-year-old.
Tonight, we are hearing from school district officials who learned of the allegations late last week and promptly removed the officer from the job.
As of right now, no criminal charges have been filed against the officer, who is on paid leave.
His absence forcing the district and the Laurel Police Department to make other staffing arrangements. Laurel Superintendent Linda Filppula ordered the suspension last Friday after learning of the allegations from Q2 News. She sent a statement to our newsroom that says, in part, once the investigation being conducted by the police department is completed, the school district intends to work with the department regarding any further action that must be taken to preserve student and staff safety.
In the meantime, Laurel Police Chief Rick Musson says his agency is doing an internal investigation. Laurel's Chief Administrative Officer Matthew Lurker says the alleged sexual contact between the officer and the 16-year-old happened a year and a half ago while the officer was off duty. Now, he's not releasing the officer's name or age or telling us if the 16-year-old is a student of the Laurel School District.
Lurker says 2 Laurel police officers are handling the internal investigation, and he plans to contact an outside agency to conduct an external investigation.
Deputy Attorney Chris Morris telling Q2 News last Friday that no criminal charges have been submitted to his office, but he noted that the legal age of consent in Montana is 16 years old.
Trial is likely in the case of a former Roberts School basketball coach who's accused of having an inappropriate relationship with a female student. Today,
John Payovich appeared in court. It was this past August that Payovich pleaded not guilty in Carbon County District Court to a misdemeanor charge of endangering the welfare of a child. Payovich allegedly kissed a 15-year-old female student multiple times during the previous school year. Today, Stillwater County Justice of the Peace Lee Cornell took over the case and appeared by video after the Carbon County judge recused himself from the case, citing a conflict.
Court documents state the first incident happened in December 2017 at the victim's home and a second incident at Payovich's home in January. The victim described the incident as boyfriend-girlfriend type of kiss.
Payovich's next court date is set for the 3rd of January. A tentative trial date would begin January 24th.
It appears Governor Steve Bullock overstepped his authority when he approved state payment for a large conservation easement on an eastern Montana ranch. Attorney General Tim Fox says the easement should not have been made final without approval of the state land board. Now, the land board is composed of Fox, Bullock, State Auditor Matt Rosendale, Secretary of State Corey Stapleton, and Superintendent of Public Instruction Elsie Arntzen. Rosendale, Stapleton, and Arntzen voted in February to delay state payment for the $6 million easement on the Horse Creek Ranch near Glendive. But the governor decided in June to finalize that easement, which allows access for hunters and other recreationists on the 15,000-acre property. Bullock argued that state law does not apply to easements. AG Fox admits he supports the Horse Creek easement, but says it requires land board approval.
Visited with the governor and encouraged him to exercise the considerable authority and persuasiveness that he has to work with the land board members, to answer their questions, to allay their concerns. Unfortunately, the governor decided not to approach any members of the land board. I think that's unfortunate. He instead just unilaterally decided that the law overnight has changed, in which it really hasn't.
Governor Bullock's office says Fox has taken an incorrect position of law and that it will destabilize the easement process, which has helped increase public access to land in Montana.
Billings hoping to make the short list of cities bidding as the U.S. Department of Agriculture considers relocating 2 of its Washington, D.C. offices. The deadline to submit a letter of interest was today. Big Sky Economic Development submitted the city's bid proposing the use of the Stillwater building in downtown Billings. The USDA needs a facility with at least 160,000 square feet, and the Stillwater building fits that bill. Director of Recruitment Allison Corbin says USDA wants to move some of its key staff closer to its customers, and since Montana ranks top 10 in cattle, sheep, and crop production, she says Montana would be a perfect fit.
The idea is that they want to get closer to their customers, and they also want to see them out of Washington for quality of life reasons. So one of the big key considerations in their the application process was, are you going to offer our staff a great quality of life? You know, outdoor amenities, low commute time, and opportunities for education. And so we really checked those boxes as well.
The city of Bozeman has also submitted a letter of interest in the project. This relocation project for USDA could mean an influx of as many as 600 jobs to the city that gets the facility. Corbin says she expects perhaps thousands of communities across the nation to apply. As for when a final decision will be made, that is still up in the air.
Turning to weather, Bob, it may not be something to celebrate, but we actually had a record-breaking weekend here in our region.
It's hard to believe. The old record for snow on Saturday was 1 inch. We had 1.8 inches of snow that day. It did break the old record. The old record was set in 1952, but look what they had over in Red Lodge. Yeah, this is a picture from John Lake, and he has what looks like 10 inches of snow up on the railing on his deck out there. There was a lot of snow up there in the Beartooth foothills. Let me show you how some of the places did. 5 miles west of Red Lodge, 15.6 inches. That's right. Over in Story, Wyoming, they had 13.5 inches. 2 miles south of Luther, 12 inches. They had 11 inches 3 miles south of Roscoe. And over at Red Lodge downtown, it was snowing like a banshee up there. 10 inches of snow fell in that area, so it was quite a mess. Now all that stuff is starting to dry up, and for us, the weather is starting to warm up tremendously. We'll chat about it in a few more minutes.
All right, thanks, Bob.
President Trump today visited some of the hardest hit areas in the wake of Hurricane Michael.
He and the First Lady Melania toured parts of Florida and Georgia. Of the 18 people dead, 8 of them are from Florida. Tens of thousands of businesses and homes are still without power.
In Florida, the president helped distribute supplies to those in need, but thousands across the region are still relying on donations and government assistance for necessities like food, water, and shelter.
Massachusetts Senator Elizabeth Warren strikes back. Today she released results of a DNA test which states there is strong evidence of her Native American ancestry dating back 6 to 10 generations. The president, who has long taunted the senator, announced in Great Falls he would donate $1 million if she could prove her lineage. But now he denies that claim. However, the results also say her Native American background could be as small as 0.09%. Prompting one Cherokee tribal official to say Warren should not claim a Native American title.
And the president says the U.S. needs to know what happened to the Saudi journalist who went missing after he entered the Saudi consulate in Istanbul, Turkey. The Saudis are preparing a report admitting to killing journalist Jamal Khashoggi. The president spoke with Saudi Arabia's king this morning and immediately ordered Secretary of State Mike Pompeo to head to the Middle Eastern country. Khashoggi was not on assignment at the time of his death. He had entered the Saudi consulate in order to complete paperwork so that he could marry his fiancée, who is a Saudi citizen.
Microsoft co-founder and philanthropist Paul Allen has died at the age of 65.
Allen passed away due to complications from non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. Allen, along with Bill Gates, founded Microsoft in 1975. Over his lifetime, Allen donated more than $2 billion to charity.
Now, Allen also owned the NFL's Seattle Seahawks and the NBA's Portland Trail Blazers.
Still ahead on tonight's 10 o'clock news, we are going to trek through the snow to a Red Lodge camp where they don't build fires, but instead build lifelong friendships.
Plus, we hit the dirt for another round of Q2 Rewind. This time, a look back at Nile history.
And coming up in sports, Scott hears from Bobcat coach Jeff Choate on how the Cats are grading at midseason with the top 10 showdown looming this weekend.
You're watching MTN News with Jay Cohn and Janelle Slade. Storm Tracker weather with Bob McGuire and sports with Scott Green. This is the 10 o'clock news on Q2, Montana's news leader.